Your patience has been rewarded. We are back with WCS Challenger here at the Blizzard Arena. My name is Fear Dragon, and I am, of course, joined by the lovely Zombie Grub on this fine morning or afternoon for you in the European regions. What's up?
Yes, I kept it. It's perfect.
Terran bias confirmed.
It's perfect. It's perfect because we're starting off with a TvT, but you have a lot to explain to us first.
I do.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many people out there that just don't know how Challenger works, and we need to inform the people. Of course, if you aren't familiar, WCS Challenger, the way it works is there are 16 players that qualified, and of course, we decided to put them into 4 groups of 4. 2 players are going to be making out of each of those groups and moving on to a 8-player single elimination bracket playoffs. How do you feel about that format, Zombie Grub?
I think it is the best format. It's tried and true. Putting them into 5 groups of 3.5.
4 groups of 4?
I don't know. That
groups
just
of-
sounds weird. So
3.5.
it's perfect.
You play one game of a best of 3 in one group, and then you play the other game in another group.
What if you just like made them like play like 2 different games, like with 2 hands?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
There's some players that are pretty skilled for something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
Well, of course, they're going to be playing for $10,000 total in prize money as well. $1,600 going to first place, $400 for all the players that get knocked out today, and of course, those very valuable WCS points in our final season of Challenger. Last chance to get that extra little seeding for Montreal, and of course, last chance to get those extra few points to qualify for BlizzCon.
Last chance to try and get anywhere close to Cyril's WCS points.
There's more than just Cyril's WCS points,
there?
okay?
I don't
Nobody
think
is
there is.
competing to try and overtake Cyril. It's physically impossible to overtake Cyril at this point.
It is,
But there's
yes.
still second and third and fourth.
Yeah, that's always, you know, desirable, I suppose. But yeah, that's what they're fighting for, because, oh boy, Cyril's just he's topping all the charts.
Yeah, he's not doing too poorly. Of course, we don't have Cyril playing today, but we do have some other really fantastic players. Of course, we're going to be starting things off, as Zombie Guard mentioned, with a Terran versus Terran to really complete that Terran bias, and HeroMarine versus souL. We're going to move on to Mana versus DNS for some Protoss bias. And of course, after that, we're going to go to the losers match, the lower bracket match, the winners match, and then of course that decider match.
If you're going to call it a losers, or sorry, a lower bracket, shouldn't you call it the upper bracket for winners?
No, they're winners. They won their match. They earned that title.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. I mean, we're like shying away from like the losers.
No.
saying-
Lower bracket.
That's what I'm saying. We're shying away from calling it the losers.
You know, and I think Jeff just likes calling the decider match like the middle match or something. That
doesn't make any sense.
it's not in the middle at
of
all.
anything. It's
You know,
not.
it is in the middle of our broadcast.
This one is technically, but then what does he call the NA one?
The memer match.
Yeah, that's actually what he would call it. You're right.
All right. Well, of course, for today's games, they're all going to be best of 3, and that's the most important thing you need to take away from this. Of course, if you don't know how WCS groups work, 2 players are going to be playing out. As you guys saw on the schedule, there's a winners match, there's a lower bracket match.
Yep.
And of course, a middle match, as In Control would call it for the European broadcast.
Doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, regardless, we do get started with that Terran versus Terran, as we have these 2 lovely names behind us, souL and HeroMarine. How you feeling about this match?
Well, I really like TvT, but I have like, I hope I'm not cursing souL or anything, because the times that I get to cast this guy, I'm always like, yeah, hyped, you know, new foreigner Terran, European Terran, and then he gets, I mean, to be a little rude, he gets bopped, and it's unfortunate because he actually is a very good Terran. It just is like whenever I get to cast him and hype him up, it's like, oh no, and he's facing someone who is very good in HeroMarine, so it is possible, but I really think it's unlikely unless I'm really cursing the guy.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I've kind of been hyped up about souL for a while, and the funny thing is I think he does really well, not just in practice, but in a lot of like other online tournaments and stuff. I don't know if it's what it is exactly, if it's the stress or if it's just kind of unlucky with the bracket luck or something, but this is the guy that it's become a meme that he's like the player that can beat Cyril because he's won a bunch of games versus Cyril on the ladder with like proxy 2 Rexes.
Yeah, well, if you're going to beat him, I guess that might be one way to do it.
All right, well, we're going to start up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the red Terran player. He is souL.
And his opponent in the bottom right. Now as the blue Terran, he is HeroMarine.
Repping that good old mouse sports for ages now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the last StarCraft 2 player on there.
Wouldn't doubt it.
I was almost certain that it was, you know, like when he wasn't really back into competition, he was just streaming a little bit. I was like, oh, did you just forget to like, you know, lose the tag? And no, he's like, he still is on the website, still proudly represents them, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I always remember, I will know the exact day that he no longer reps them because he is one of those. Do you know what I mean when there's players on Twitter and you try and tag them, you just type in HeroMarine, like at HeroMarine, and his name just doesn't come up, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
What is their Twitter handle? And then he's one of those players that starts it out with mouse.
Yes.
So then it just never comes up and auto-populate.
You're right about that. I actually did not imagine his Twitter handle at all being just HeroMarine. I immediately thought of the mouse. So.
Exactly, yeah. So I'll know the exact day that he just does not pop up there anymore on the Twitter tag.
Yeah. All right, so what do we got here? It's TvT, so we're going to actually have to start talking about the builds maybe a little bit earlier than maybe like a TVZ or something. We do have a one-base build for both parties. We check the gas real quick, though. Factory expands have been getting more and more popular, it feels. It's a nice balance between that safety and that aggression. You don't lose to a proxy 2 racks, but you don't really push off the third or the natural command center too long, and it looks like both of them are going to be going for that.
Yep. 2 guys in each one of their gas geysers. Everything is looking extremely mirrored right now. Only thing that's slightly different, I guess, is like SCV timing by 4 or so seconds, but even that is pretty negligible. And finally, we're starting to see Reactor coming down over here for souL, and HeroMarine instead going to be going for, looks like an earlier Cyclone.
Yeah, all right, so 2 Reapers versus the faster starport. So it actually wasn't a command center that quickly for souL. When I say factory expand, I mean like the factory and then command center. But actually, even though he had some SCVs off, this will just push off. Well, he didn't get a second Reaper, right? And then he could afford a Cyclone. We'll see if he actually does. If he did that, then he wouldn't have a lot to afford off the starport. So, right, so that's HeroMarine is doing what I was thinking they both are going to do, but very slight differences.
Clever little positioning of these Reapers, by the way, from HeroMarine. And souL is anticipating that the units are going to be coming up that ramp. So now the Reapers are going to be able to get into the natural and actually potentially kill off that SCV.
Yeah. They got to be careful, though. There is not an escape on the other side. So, yeah, they had to go back into the Heli and a Reaper fire, which they will definitely lose that fight. They tried their best, though.
Yeah, and the Hellion actually survives with quite a few hit points left over. Doesn't even really need to be repaired up or anything, so it moves across the map. The Cyclone should be able to prevent it from doing a whole lot of anything, but it's still kind of a nice little victory there, I would say, for souL.
Well, the Reapers couldn't go into the main base. As I was saying, they would have died anyway, so they tried, as the other exit was walled off from the starport. So that does kind of suck. I mean, 2 Reapers, you would hope at least 1 got in there. You only got the SCV kind of delaying the command center, and that's it. So the Banshee...
Is seeing the Hellion enough to kind of determine that it's probably like a starport, or
the
really?
timing on whether or not a Cyclone would have popped, and I don't think they SCV scouted each other either, right? So he doesn't realize that it was 2 SCVs in each gas for some time. Like, I feel like he's missing some of the crucial pieces that he otherwise would be able to infer, but it's always a nice guess that your opponent's going for cloaked Banshees. That's like the worst case scenario, so you kind of want to have a mental preparation for that.
All right, well, the medevac is going to be moving in and scouting this out. There's a lot of Marines that are already prepared, but oh, that tech lab. Oh my God, he cannot defend that.
No, he cannot. One of the reasons that you don't want to put anything important over there. So Platy Burr 2, fine. Okay, that kind of sucks, but losing Cloak, very detrimental to souL's plan.
Yeah, for those who are wondering why he was positioning these buildings over here, is he's trying to block off that Reaper path. But the funny thing is, he kills the Reapers at the front, so it's not even really doesn't really end up being a concern anyways. And now, Cyclone's having denied that could be extremely annoying, and even just deny some money at the natural.
Yeah, this Cyclone drop really is, it's almost like the best of all worlds. Like, the amount of aggression you can put on. If you build another Cyclone back at home, you can defend against the Banshee, which did kill 3 SCVs, but then was thwarted by a single Cyclone and whatever Marines we see here. It comes back in, though. That's why we see the SCV kill count coming up. And for a cloakless Banshee, I think that was total of 7 SCV kills. That's really not bad. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I can do math.
Oh my God, he's gonna kill the tech lab again. At least a Raven got started, and even when the tech lab dies, the Raven will still complete. 2 Cyclones of souL are also going to be able to ward things back, but man, that is extremely annoying. It looks like a Banshee actually getting some more damage done.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That one, not as effective though. So, you know, 2 Banshees without Cloak for the, okay, it's all right. With the 3rd CC though is faster for HeroMarine. He already has Stim on the way. The Tech Lab is kind of like, it was comical for the Raven, it was already started, so it's not like you don't really need a Tech Lab on a Starport anymore, and he'll probably move that over somewhere else so it doesn't get tank sieged later on. But souL, looking for maybe just to surprise the medevac, but it actually gone back home. So, I mean, he's behind in 3rd CC, he's behind in Stim, he's behind in production. I mean, souL, he has more workers, but it feels like HeroMarine's already starting the, you know, the pace of TvT a lot better.
Yeah, he's going to be adding on these additional barracks. He is also getting his 3rd and 4th gas geysers a good bit earlier than it feels like HeroMarine is. So I'm wondering what he's going to try and do with the extra gas, maybe. Maybe just try and double time it on some of those upgrades a little bit faster. We do see... Actually, no, the upgrades are already started there for HeroMarine, like you said, actually.
Yeah, I mean, everything's just faster for HeroMarine, so I feel like those 5 workers, they don't seem like they affected it nearly as much. And HeroMarine still has that bigger army too, and he's still harassing with the double Cyclone, and it's such a powerful drop. He's repaired everything for it too, or exchanged them, I don't know which one. And at this point, like, even a couple of Marines here and there, because they won't have Stim for some time, they can't chase down the medevac, can really add up army-wise.
Okay, well, souL's got to figure out something he can do to kind of maximize the slightly faster 3rd and 4th gas, as well as just the slight worker lead that he doesn't really even have anymore. It's barely like a 2 worker lead at this point, so 3rd base being established here for HeroMarine, he's going to be able to easily overtake him on that side.
Yeah, I wonder if souL's going to take the 3rd base in the same fashion.
Well, that's not ideal.
Yeah, that's 2 Cyclones versus 1. One doesn't.
Yeah, go figure.
And that one also not going to win.
When you add in a 3rd Cyclone, it turns out the 1 Cyclone loses.
Ah, okay, so sometimes you can kind of like cheekily go somewhere along the map with 2 or 3 Cyclones and get the 3rd CC to lift. He doesn't get that, and I don't think he scouted that the 3rd CC was down, or I mean, he wouldn't have, right? He was going the wrong place, so he definitely doesn't see that. He didn't actually see that it was made either, so there might be some concern of a more 2-base focused aggression, but I think you're facing HeroMarine. We didn't really talk about these guys' styles that much, but HeroMarine certainly is known for his macro defensive style.
Yeah, if anything, of the 2 players, souL is definitely known for being heavy aggro and being ready to kind of, well, not necessarily, he's not a player that is afraid to macro. He loves getting really, really in his opponent's face a lot of the time.
Ooh, Combat Shields is starting late for souL. I hope he didn't just forget it.
Is it starting at all?
Well, no, it's starting even later. So that's pretty crucial. I mean, Stim gives you, okay, so he starts it, but this is a full Combat Shields, where if the timing is HeroMarine actually moves into the 3rd base. This is probably the most important time not to have Combat Shields started. It's a little bit late.
Oh boy, well at least 1-1 is about to finish up, but it's after he's lost most of his Marines. HeroMarine stutter steps forward. The siege tanks are doing some work here for souL, but it's just not enough. Even with the anti-armor missile, he's not really able to defend his 3rd.
That was just crushing. I mean, HeroMarine with the perfect timing right there, able to abuse the fact that he has faster Combat Shields. He's now going to have faster 2-2, as souL is now denied his extra gases, his extra mining, and this is looking absolutely terrible for souL.
Wait, souL just scanned HeroMarine's. Oh, he scanned the wrong 3rd.
Yeah, that's awkward though, because the center tower, if it's put here, I mean, it's 99% of the time it's going to be the 3rd base location. So I don't know if he was checking like I'm only dead if he has a 4th base mentality or what, but souL's in dire straits.
He is in pretty dire straits right now. Another anti-armor missile does come down and cover HeroMarine's army, and there are more Marines here right now for souL. Maybe this is going to be the saving grace, but a pickup, he gets out of there with the siege tanks, the really, really important units there, and even if the Marines die, HeroMarine can regroup with the rest of his army because he's got another lot of the rest of the army.
And now if souL scanned, you'd see a 4th base put down location, and that would probably feel very bad. But souL does take a little bit back by taking that fight. He finally has his Combat Shields, and his 2-2 isn't so late, but that, you know, with us now going into the warring period of TvT, it's very possible 2-2 will hit at that perfect timing again for HeroMarine.
Okay, well, HeroMarine's entire army is on the right-hand side of the map, so the double medevac's not going to be totally prepared, but it looks like he loads up a handful of his own medevacs, gets ready to move into the main base. 4th base does get canceled, so you know what? souL, he's finding some ways to start equalizing. He's not quite there yet, though.
That was really weird by HeroMarine. He picked up his units to go to the main base like he was expecting a Doom drop.
I think he saw the double medevac drop, and he was expecting to just zoom past the natural or something.
I guess, yeah. I mean, you're most likely right. Just seems like kind of spur of the moment thinking, where I was actually headed towards the fourth, or probably the natural. But anyways, fourth is restarted, just in a safer location. souL's still going to try and play the most solid TvT he can, because TvT really is all about comebacks. You find your opponent out of position once and then twice, and you take some good army fights, you reduce their tank count, and you're back in the game.
Okay, double medevacs are going to be able to scout out some of the army moving forward. He sees a siege tank and actually manages to snag it as well. Medevac's going to have to leave a couple of these Marines behind, but they get out of there alive barely and see that HeroMarine is going for another push along that right-hand side. HeroMarine, not usually the player that you're seeing, really split up his army in a lot of different ways. He's about that big rally push forward. So souL being able to catch it in advance is a huge deal.
Yeah, nice. Cutting him off before he reaches anything economically important. The upgrades are done for HeroMarine. He's going to go. He has that concave. Doesn't have as many Marines, however. There's some more reinforcing, but his tanks are all sieged up, and they're just blasting away here. Really cool drop on top of the tanks from behind, though, from souL. Almost turns this around, but not quite.
Yeah, there's more Marines also coming in on the left-hand side, and that is going to do it. HeroMarine crushes through the siege tanks, crushes the medevacs that are honestly half the army supply right now for souL. He's got some Marines rallying forward, but he's not there in time to save the third.
That was almost a really cool engagement. But there was just so much more for HeroMarine that he was taking from his reinforcements that is going to be game. GG. HeroMarine takes game number 1.
A really, really awesome TvT so far, as we end up seeing, kind of what you were expecting. HeroMarine able to take that first game, setting a little bit of the pacing there. And also, it was the fact that in the earlier stage of the game, it seemed like HeroMarine had a little bit of an edge he was able to claim, and then he was able to just throughout the game. souL had some good moments, but HeroMarine was, for the most part, ahead that entire game.
Well, him just denying Cloak was a big bummer, basically. That's 2 more scans at the very least, of like this whole 2 less mules, argument type thing. So that was already a pretty bad start. But then that combat shield timing was really what was the kicker. I mean, HeroMarine is like, if he's in his elements, which he usually is, he's a very good defender. His macro is just, I mean, I would say that it's, not matched by anyone, but that's false. We have souL and everyone else, but it's very, very good.
Yeah, that's a pretty lazy narrative if you just said that it was unmatched by anyone.
God forbid.
God forbid. But of course, that does leave us into game number 2, or lead us over there as we move on to Dreamcatcher. Last game, a little bit unfortunate there, like you said, with the tech lab for souL. And do you think that was part of the reason, like the fact that he was going for that sort of Cloak Banshee opening, it delays things like stim and combat shields? Is that part of the reason why, or do you think it was something else that had him delayed?
I mean, I think, let's also not forget that he was a little behind the command center because he went for that cloak, so it was a bit of that snowball effect, but it was also just I mean, you look at the actual numbers of Banshee with Cloak, and you talk about the scans, and you don't really talk about how much focus it takes for the Terran to do that. So it's possible that would have delayed it 10 seconds. It's possible he's able to siege up, and if his tanks are sieged all in a row around his third base with the Marines, even if they don't have combat shields, that's less likely, I feel, for HeroMarine to jump on it like he did. So it's like seconds differences, but that could have been the difference that Cloak makes.
I guess that's the name of the game when it comes to TvT. It's a game of seconds a lot of the time, but here we go. Dreamcatcher is going to be that game number 2 map. Let's go ahead and jump in, introduce those players. We're going to be starting down here on the south side of the map. It's on top of that red Terran player, still looking for a way to claim victory in this series. It is souL. Polish Terran player from Team Wind and Rain.
In the top left, as the blue Terran, he is HeroMarine from Germany, from Mouse.
Oh man, how do you feel about Dreamcatcher? Dreamcatcher is, it's a map that's been around for a good bit of time now. And for those who are wondering, we are playing all of the games on the old season ladder map pool, just because we started off the group stages before the new season started. We want to keep everything fair. But these players have been playing on these maps for a while. What's your kind of impression of how Dreamcatcher plays out in TvT?
I think it's such a weird map. I personally don't like it, but Terrans seem to have professional Terrans seem to have all their ducks in a row. So, I mean, you're going to want to avoid the major complication spots, and unfortunately on Dreamcatcher, that's two. Like, no matter where you expand, you're going to have that wall where if you let the tanks siege up, kind of like more to the left side of your third base, then you're just defending. Like, you got to, like, drop or kind of get a surprise maneuver to actually fix that. So that's where we're going to be looking towards unless something more drastic happens on the 1 or 2 bases, which, I mean, souL could certainly change things up and really power hard on 1 base, but we're going to expect HeroMarine to look more towards 3rd and 4th bases, no matter what map he plays on.
Yep. And by the way, we do see souL skipping that second gas geyser for quite a bit of time to get up a 1 Rax expand. HeroMarine goes to the SCV scout, something that souL's actually neglecting to do this game and just opting to go for purely that Reaper scout. So souL's going to be in the dark for a little bit longer, but he's going for the more economic play this game.
Yeah, he is. Again, unlikely that HeroMarine's going to T-Rax proxy. So, yeah, you can kind of get away with it, but it's really not. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people in TvT that are afraid of the proxy T-Rax, and that's why they might open with, you know, a 1 base build or a factory expand, but it's also just how much they want to control the game. So it's actually, in that way, it's almost surprising that souL doesn't, but considering that he's going up against one of these, like, stalwart, you know, defensive Terrans, it's unlikely his first 1 base or 2 base attack will do a lot.
I think he's going to use the SCV there to try and get the extra hit on his opponent's Reaper so that he can win that fight if this ends up happening.
Doesn't work out that way. Well, I mean, they both got shots on Reapers.
Yeah, but it looks like souL's Reaper is well ahead in terms of health hit points, so should be able to defend this just fine. Although the Reaper's going to start regenerating hit points now.
Yeah, but he's still good.
Yeah, I thought he might be able to make it out of there alive.
Yeah, that would be a surprise. But HeroMarine got what he did do last game, which is just very thorough scouting. So SCV scout and then a Reaper scout, seeing that there was a reactor on the factory.
Oh, wow. HeroMarine actually getting some really good damage. He's killing us off another SCV over here. Now the Cyclone's here. There are 2 Hellions to help out, but Hellions don't exactly deal with the Cyclone very well.
Yeah, you know, HeroMarine didn't really pile on the pressure that much. He went for the 2 Reapers last game, and that was kind of it. Into the Cyclone drop, of course, but this time he just brings everything forward as fast as possible. And souL might have been banking on the idea that he wouldn't do that, otherwise he would have had a Cyclone making.
Oh, Cyclone takes so long to produce in the meanwhile, and even the Reaper Grenade going to be causing all sorts of annoyances and problems. So much lost mining time here for these SCVs. A Reaper does try to move up to the high ground to get some scouting information, or some vision, I should say, for the Cyclone, but looks like the command center completes. SCVs are just going to transfer over, and the Cyclones are finishing up here for souL.
He didn't get a lot of SCV kills, but that was a lot of lost mining time. I also like HeroMarine's follow-up to this is just to get a bunker, and with that high ground, even though there might be 3 Cyclones soon, they would not be able to do that much of a counter.
Almost gets us around on that Cyclone, so close to killing it off. He might actually still be able to get it, but so many SCVs are being pulled up to line for this.
Wow, well, he should really pull those back. I mean, the Hellion might be able to get a double kill, and actually it's too weak now, but that was a long time for the SCVs not to be mining.
Oh my god, just look at the income graph. I think that really does tell the tale here. Even like you said, if not a lot of workers actually end up falling there, HeroMarine is actually up on workers just slightly now, and he's got other units that are coming out behind this as well.
Yeah, well, the bunker means that he's pretty safe. If he has anything to put it in there, he does have 4 Marines. He's going to repair up that Cyclone that has the help of the medevac to micro to kind of match a little bit more to souL. I mean, if souL goes to the main base, that's still a problem for HeroMarine, but it's not a problem for very long.
Accidentally talks a supply depot instead of actually targeting down the medevac with the Cyclone.
It's a lot of damage to take.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get too much more aggressive with that medevac now.
Yeah. That is, once again, a bad start for souL. HeroMarine's also trying to chase it down, and he got very close to finding it.
1 Marine is over there inside the natural expansion. It looks like with the Cyclone lock-on, he might be able to get this. No.
Yeah, that wouldn't kill the medevac fast enough. I don't know, like Cyclone.
Oh, you could just say, okay. I was going to say, if the Raven catches the medevac before it unloads.
Raven doesn't go down either.
Auto turret does get thrown down, so it's actually out of energy now. Man, this chase is lasting a while.
Yeah, or a really great micro from souL, who really needs to get his extra damage, and finally grabs that Raven and gets the same hotkey. Does lose one of the Cyclones, but I call that a pretty good trade.
Yeah, that was a fantastic trade.
Unless he loses the medevac. And then it's in.
Yeah, I guess that turns it into, I got 1 medevac and 2 Cyclones in exchange for a Raven, and maybe that's not actually so bad.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, the Raven isn't just obviously a lot of gas mostly, but it is also sometimes a really crucial component. Like if they're going to double interference matrix your 2 tanks, then they could just win right then and there. And if you could counter that, then the game goes on. But we're really at that point. I mean, HeroMarine, I think once again has that faster, well, he's faster stim, faster upgrades. They're pretty close on the production, which is what I was really looking towards. So I don't know if souL. I mean, he might have a pretty good attack once he has stim with the interference matrix, but that's a while off.
Yeah, I guess the other interesting thing is that starport, it doesn't really have the tech lab anymore, so it's not really easy to reproduce that Raven. Like, it's not just something that you kind of easily replace.
Yeah, you don't, yeah. I mean, it was a harsh loss, but at least HeroMarine is able to take down the harassment, so he is back to just kind of doing his own thing. Now he's going to try and do something to souL's mineral line. Not really expecting much with stimless Marines.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it looks like one of these Marines might even be able to catch wind of this medevac. We'll see if he attacks it. Okay, does see the medevac at least for a split second, and he's actually positioning some of his units over to the left-hand side. I don't think he noticed the medevac.
No, he didn't, but his units are close enough.
Yeah, should be able to turn around at some point. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, supply depot is going to be canceled. Yeah. SP loss. That's about it. But it is that, you know, you're keeping tabs on where your opponent's army is. Maybe you get lucky enough to see the third base being put down on location, get the confirmation there. Although it does seem that souL's going to take the one opposite of HeroMarine.
Yeah, you were talking about the 2 different third base locations you can go for, but both of them sort of cause some sort of problems. And ooh, did we see the medevac just go down, or no?
Is that what we saw?
No, that wasn't the medevac.
No, it was like a heli.
Yeah, okay. I saw explosions of mechanical units.
Exactly. It's not a Marine. Once again, faster combat shields for HeroMarine, and he should be the one feeling more confident to move out again. So, some ways similar to last, but this isn't even. So I don't know if souL is going to be like pounced upon like he was on Catalyst. That seems like a very ideal scenario. But even if he's not pounced upon, even if he has to like give up his third base temporarily, he will be under siege if HeroMarine finds that spot I was talking about behind the wall. But HeroMarine is just sieging up defensively. Now notices the third CC just because of the sensor tower.
Yeah, and it looks like souL is very much in position over by his third base with all of his siege tanks, so it's going to be pretty hard for HeroMarine to really break that position at this given moment. There's still opportunities to maybe get some drop harassment done in the natural or something, but man, even if souL actually loads up for some drop harassment, immediately gets caught by some of these Marines. Both these players doing a great job keeping an eye on the map.
Yeah, well, that is definitely important, as there's 3, I guess, major attack points. There's one to the middle, which is very awkward with the rocks, and then there's 2 to the sides that you have to worry about no matter where you took your third.
Medevac getting low. Looks like HeroMarine is not going to be able to snag it. Oh, another Marine over here is not going to be enough to finish that off, but does catch wind of it once again.
Well, souL finds himself getting into that mid game with you know, every upgrade for the Marines done in a much better fashion, and this is where he started to really pile on the pressure.
High-speed chase.
Yeah.
Nice little win there for HeroMarine. Even has a supply. I thought that was maybe a medevac or something on the left-hand side, but yeah, has some extra vision.
Yeah. But souL can maybe start maneuvering around. He seems to really put a priority on putting 2 sensor towers down as soon as he has the third CC, which is not a bad idea. They're kind of expensive, but this does give you a lot of like comfort as you maybe now want to go out on the map and start really pushing and pulling HeroMarine apart. But so far, these guys are content staying at home, a little wary of going outside. Even souL goes for a 4th on location, so we could be seeing a faster transition into starports from these 2 guys, depending on how passive they really want to be.
Okay, the first wind that souL gets of any kind of army movement is on the right-hand side. He sees the double medevac, but he's going to leave a lot of his siege tanks siege up over on the left-hand side, and that's going to actually behoove him as he sees everything start to come forward. But the 4th base does get canceled.
Yeah, that's not so bad. I mean, even though HeroMarines is obviously a lot faster, they're both getting maxed out without a ton of resources lost.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, like, oh no, he's so far behind now. In fact, it's all gonna, you know, probably even out. I guess HeroMarine's gonna have the bigger bank, but could still change drastically with the bad fights, as both their upgrades are pretty darn even, and souL is moving out. Now HeroMarine has Sense Tower as well.
Okay, we're starting to see siege tanks gradually siege forward over here for souL. He wants to be the one that gets on the aggressive side. HeroMarine sieging up his own siege tanks defensively, got a very nice spread out of them, but he's got a lot of his army coming in on the right-hand side. He might actually be able to flank this from 2 different angles. Oh, this is so dangerous if souL catches wind of this.
This is so dangerous. I can't believe HeroMarine's doing this.
Oh
And
my
getting
God.
away with it, too.
He's gonna get a 360 surround, but now Sensor Tower does spot things out. He sees everything, but is it too late, Zombie Grub? The big concave consort, the Marines from every single angle, and HeroMarine is going to crush this army.
He absolutely crushed it. And souL had accidentally picked up, or accidentally didn't unload, I'm not sure which one, 2 full medevacs of 16 Marines. That was a slaughter, as HeroMarine in one fell swoop now has a 70-80 army, almost army supply lead. Well, that should just be game, because souL doesn't have that many tanks.
I mean, it's 3 tanks to 10 right now, Zombie Grub, and even the Marine count is favoring HeroMarine. There is only so much you can do. GG gets called. HeroMarine takes the 2-0.